Hey everyone, I'm going to be doing something really cool with these Scrabble pieces at the end of the video, so you're going to want to make sure you watch the whole way through. Without further ado, let's get started.
What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Kendrick Youngblood. Y'all showed me so much love on the last video, my reaction to Amanda Gorman's inauguration poem. I've never had a video blow up like that on YouTube before, and I can't thank y'all enough. To those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. I do a lot of spoken word reactions, that's very true. However, I also give writing tips, I analyze poetry, things like that. Today, it's gonna be encouragement for writers, specifically on how to handle criticism. And for those of you who are new, don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I gotta add that in, you feel me? Boy, if you don't. But the topic of this video was actually inspired by a subscriber named NP Hunt, all right? Really incredible poet. He has a poetry collection called Immortalized in Ink that was actually reviewed by a fellow poetry YouTuber named Adam Gary Poetry. And the review Adam gave NP Hunt was so good and so positive that I literally bought the book immediately after seeing it. And I'm really excited for it. I can't wait for it to come. However, another individual gave a more negative critique, one that didn't highlight as many of the positive aspects of the collection. And NP Hunt had expressed to me how it had discouraged him. But in spite of that natural human response to, negative feedback, look at the post he made. All right, so there's a Facebook post he made in response to this, which I really think will be helpful for y'all and can be an example of how y'all should handle it, okay? NP Hunt writes, "Oh well, you can't please everyone. I'm really grateful to so-and-so who wrote this very honest review of my book. I knew in advance that sending my book to various reviewers would inevitably mean that some wouldn't enjoy it. And that's obviously completely fine. To her credit, she stuck with it even though she realized it wasn't for her. Regardless of whether she enjoyed my poetry, she has an awesome YouTube channel which I wholeheartedly recommend to any and all book lovers. No negativity towards her in the comments, please. She's a very lovely person and her opinions about my book are completely valid. I asked her to be honest and that's what I got, so no regrets." Boom! That is how you take criticism. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean when you get like a harsh review or like a lot of negative feedback, you just don't feel anything. Like, it's okay to feel, but like at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. Keep moving forward. Just realize that everybody has their own tastes. NP Hunt, thank you for being a good example. This did kind of draw my attention to the fact that a lot of writers go through this, and sometimes the negative feedback might affect them personally to the point where they start to question, like, should I even continue writing? That really saddens me because I've gone through the same thing myself. And so I realized the best way I can help my audience right now would actually be to show y'all how exactly to handle criticism when it comes, both helpful and not so helpful criticism, okay? But wait! Guess what? If you don't have thick skin, not only will harsh critiques demotivate you, but even helpful ones that still highlight the positive aspects of your work, but just draw attention to where it needs improvement. Even that, without thick skin, you'll just be demoralized. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the very short poem by Mary Oliver called The Uses of Sorrow, that sort of demonstrates how some things that we receive that might be kind of hard to swallow might actually be good for us, okay? "Someone I love once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift." The source of sorrow can have many forms, not just like losing a loved one or anything like that, but even just feeling like you failed, in your art form. This right here is the attitude you should possess. "Someone I loved once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift." How about instead of taking years, let's just decide right now that those critiques, whether they were considerate of our feelings or not, chances are there might be something valid in there that we can pull out and use to our benefit. There are two forms of criticism. One, I must admit, is a lot more preferred than the other. So what is constructive criticism? Constructive criticism is the process of offering valid and well-reasoned opinions about the work of others, usually involving both positive and negative comments, in a friendly manner rather than an oppositional one. So this is what you should hope you receive from writers, maybe during a writer's workshop or a review, or maybe you just hand a poem to your friend and ask what they think. Constructive criticism is what you should hope for. That doesn't mean the other person's being a yes man or a yes woman to everything. Like, oh, this is perfect, there's nothing wrong with it. That's not constructive either, all right? But providing both positive and negative comments while being considerate of the other person's feelings, highlighting what's working in the poem, and suggesting ways in which they can improve what's not working so much. Does that make sense? Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is a type of criticism that is intended to harm, undermine, or even destroy someone's creation, reputation, or self-esteem. It's when someone chews you out, mercilessly rips apart your idea, or publicly denigrates your abilities.
Oh my god! Even though oh my god!
Okay, that sounds a bit extreme. And although this form of criticism is not considerate of the writer's feelings, the master artist can still pull out useful ideas from it. Like maybe there might be a sliver of information in that deconstructive criticism that could actually benefit you. It's important to keep in mind that some critiques are neither one nor the other, but a combination of both, right? They possess certain elements of constructive criticism, but also some elements of deconstructive criticism. As I said before, I am no stranger to negative feedback. I'm telling y'all, even the last video I posted, right? The reaction to Amanda Gorman's poetry, y'all will not believe how much hate I got over that reaction. Yo, for real, I had to delete some comments simply because they were like too racist. I made sure to delete all of that. But see, that's an important thing to bring up. Even Miss Gorman, who is the Youth Poet Laureate of the United States of America, even she is not above negative feedback. All right, even she is not above deconstructive criticism. But guess what? You don't get to be as good as Amanda Gorman without being a bigger critic of your own work than anyone else ever could. And that is one important thing to keep in mind when it comes to like not being shaken by other people's opinions about your work. If you are a bigger critic of yourself than anybody else, there's nothing anybody can tell you that will have you shaken. My most popular poem on YouTube got like a lot of insensitive comments. And what's wild is that apparently it had to have been good because it got a perfect score in a national poetry slam. It helped my slam team get 4th place in the nation, and it got 42,000 views on YouTube. So like, it couldn't have been that bad. You know what I'm saying? How silly would it be of me to just focus on all those negative comments about like me holding back the team? Like I got some really crazy comments on that video. I have no idea what's wrong with people, but that's besides the point. The point is like, how silly would it be of me to just like focus on those negative comments? Meanwhile, the vast majority obviously appreciate the poem. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, it's very important to determine what your perspective is focusing on. Master poets and master writers in general have what I call a feedback filter. So here's what I want you to do. When you receive an opinion from others regarding your work, you need to soak in those words that people gave you, right? Process it, filter out what isn't beneficial to improving your work, and retain what is. All right. So don't simply say, oh, I didn't like what I hear, so I'm just going to neglect it. Take it in, you know, process it, see if some of their points were valid, assess whether their advice is actually applicable to your work, and whatever isn't, you just throw it away and you move on. I know I might be sounding a bit insensitive as if it's like that easy. Obviously it's not. Words do hurt people, you know. However, this is something that you have to master. It takes practice, I'm not gonna lie, but you have to master it if you're going to excel as a writer, because I can guarantee you, you will experience a lot of negative feedback in the future. I can promise you that. Okay, so quick story. A former classmate of mine in one of my poetry workshop courses in university could not take criticism, could not handle any kind of negative feedback regarding his work. You said anything negative about it at all, and he would defend it till the day is done. Like, man was like, literally his face would be getting all red if you said anything negative about his work. Like, I don't know why he took every comment personally when at the end of the day, students were just trying to help him. Like, it was ridiculous. And what was so annoying is that he had so much potential. He definitely could have been the best poet in the entire class without a shred of doubt. I believe that wholeheartedly. However, he could not take even a slightly negative comment or suggestion. He wouldn't have any of it. In fact, on one occasion, he got so frustrated with me over a suggestion I made about how he could improve the poem. And it's a workshop class. Keep that in mind, it's a workshop class. He got so frustrated with me, he literally ripped the notes I had for his poem out of my hand.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
Y'all best believe it took everything in me not to bro, like Bro, don't play with me. Like, I'm literally trying to help. So I continued based on what I could remember from the notes, telling him what was working in the poem for sure, but also areas where it's like, it's a bit too vague here. And I asked other students in the class if they understood what he was talking about in that section of the poem, and no one had any clue. So then we asked him, do you know what you were trying to convey in that part of the poem? And he said, I can't remember. But it's not like it needs to change. And I said, okay, so you can't remember even after rereading your poem. Nothing's ringing a bell regarding what you intended the readers to obtain from those lines. You know what that tells me? If not even you, the writer, can recall what impact that was supposed to have on the readers. What I did next is not optimal. I do not suggest you do this. He was bringing the toxic part out of me. I'm not gonna lie. I pretty much said, if you can't figure out what you're talking about in your own poem, don't expect your readers to.
I'm one of those people who stay real quiet around stupidity. But until you come for me, you don't realize that I will annihilate you with facts.
I proceeded to rip the notes out of his hands and back into mine. Bro. Overall, I mean, I hope the guy's doing well, but at the end of the day, he's never going to reach his potential unless he learns how to take criticism. And I think one of the issues he had, as well as many other emerging poets, is that they think that people's opinions of their work determine their worth and ability as artists, and that's not the case at all. Even positive opinions, like people praising your work, that in and of itself is not even indicative of how good your work is. You determine the worth of your poetry. Don't let people's opinions dictate that for you. No. I repeat, people's opinions of your work are not indicative of your worth or the quality of your work. You decide that for yourself. This poem is called Words for the Discouraged Poet. Yearn to improve, but learn to approve of your art. One day they'll read, hear, and see what sets you apart. Use that creative brain that you've lived with since birth. No opinion will matter once you know your worth. Go public with your words, go publish all your work. Become your biggest critic and fan on this earth. Let your writing flow like your water has broken. Open treasure resides in each word that you've spoken. Ones who don't speak good English still speak from the heart. Don't surrender the pen due to pesky remarks. Potential is in you, so go leave your mark. One can't set the world aflame until there's a spark. Examine their critique, analyze their review, to see where the lies separate from the truth. Recite this line when your confidence goes awry. You cannot spell poetry without the word try. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you next time.